there. So I was reading an article by Atlas Obscura. You may read them. They're amazing. You should. But they said that wine glasses from the 18th century or the 1700s were about 1/14th the size of a wine glass like this one. So this, like 1/14th, this is 14 times bigger than the wine glasses from the 1700s. That's amazing to me, which made me wonder, where were wine glasses for Shakespeare's lifetime? Did he have them? Did he drink out of wine glasses? How big were they? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in today's episode. So here's what I found out. In Renaissance Europe, when it comes to glass, it was fashionable to copy Venetian glass. This was not only because Italian glass was popular, but because it was really, really good glass. Widely, European glass was very thick and it had a tinge of yellow or green, and the Venetians perfected a process using quartz pebbles instead of sand, which was traditional, and they created not only a very thin glass, but it was crystal clear, which is why they started calling it Cristallo. It was unique not only because it was very thin, but because it was so clear, and that was quite different from everything else available at the time. This glass was often decorated with elaborate decorations, and there are even some museum collections that have artifacts from this time period showing that individual objects would be made of glass and then combined together to make artwork that was made out of glass. Well, the Venetian glass was in England as early as the 13th century because people were importing it. But Venetian craftsmen didn't start producing this product in England until around 1567 when Shakespeare was 3 years old. There's one English maker named Jacopo Verzolini who was making glass, and a few of the surviving artifacts that he made from his London house of glass was dated to within 1577 to 1590. So right in the heart of William Shakespeare's lifetime. Now, what we know from the history of Verzolini and the glass that he made is that he was intending to copy the Venetian style, and he was marketing his product to the uber elite of England. We know that the crystal was highly valuable because Thomas Howard, who was the fourth Duke of Norfolk, was sentenced to death in 1571 for his involvement in the Rodolphi plot. Now, that's a whole nother section of history, but he bequeathed Sir Nicholas Bacon, Sir Walter Mildmay, and Robert Dudley, the Earl of Leicester, a single piece of crystal glassware each. So this was valuable enough that you could bequeath it to people and they were grateful to have received it. So it was a highly valuable product. Now, the Venetians were very persnickety about the production of glass. In fact, they maintained a global monopoly on the production of this type of Cristallo glass right up until the 16th century. Now, they really wanted to maintain their monopoly, so they forbade anyone to take their methods outside of Venice. That means they weren't very happy at all when Edward VI of England invited 8 Muranese glassmakers and several Dutchmen to set up a furnace for making this kind of glass in 1550. Well, they demanded that the glass this group make be returned to Venice. So the Venetians freaked out and said, no, you got to give it back. And it made such a kerfuffle that Edward VI, in an effort to appease the Venetians, actually had these glassmakers imprisoned in the Tower of London for making this glass that he invited them to make. It seems a little unfair, but whatever. Now, despite the Venetians being upset about it, glass drinking vessels were extremely popular as collector's items. Now, you may have heard us talk on the show before about curiosity cabinets and things like that. Stuff to show off to your friends and sort of display your opulence was a big thing during Shakespeare's lifetime. And these drinking vessels made of this crystal glass was one of the things that people liked to collect. Now, one English merchant named Nicholas Sparing collected expensive imports like this, and he has one record where he ordered no less than 35 dozen crystal glasses in the year 1567 to 1568. What are you even going to do with 35 dozen crystal glasses? I have no idea, but Nicholas was all about them. So this record suggests that while Shakespeare probably wasn't drinking out of them, because I just don't think Shakespeare had the social status for this to be something he might have in his house, unless it was given to him as a gift or something. So maybe, but this wasn't what you would sit down in Shakespeare's house and have your drink be served out of. But he definitely knew what they were because the extreme elite in the nation had them, and they were popular and they were imported, and people were chasing after this. So if you think of luxury brands that you know about but maybe don't own yourself, there was kind of that level of thing. There are a few people who have this, but it's not widespread in society in general. That's kind of the way wine glasses would have been for Shakespeare's lifetime. Now, if you'd like to know more about glass in Shakespeare's lifetime, this is actually coming up on a topic in our podcast, so definitely subscribe to the podcast. We're having a museum expert come in and share with us a lot of details about how it was made and info about different artifacts and stuff. It's going to be really cool. So subscribe to the podcast if you'd like to learn more about that. That's it for this week. I'm Cassidy Cash. I hope you learned something new about the Bard. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.